The crystalline vault had existed for over 10,000 years, floating in the void between galaxies like a monument to cruelty. Inside its translucent walls, thousands of alien women from dozens of species remained suspended in temporal stasis, conscious, aware but unable to move, speak, or age. They were prisoners of the architects, an ancient race that had vanished millennia ago, leaving their victims trapped in an endless moment. Archie Chen wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a salvage operator, running a small mining rig on the edge of the Kepler expanse. But when his scanner picked up an anomalous energy signature, curiosity got the better of him. What he found changed everything. The vault hung in space like a massive diamond, pulsing with an ethereal blue light. Archie's ship, the Wanderer, docked with surprising ease, as if the structure had been waiting for anyone to finally arrive. Inside, the corridors stretched endlessly, lined with thousands of crystalline chambers. In each one stood a woman, frozen mid-gesture, mid-breath, mid-scream. Archie's blood ran cold. Their eyes followed him as he passed, alive with desperate intelligence. They couldn't move, but they could see. They'd been watching the universe age around them for centuries. "Jesus," Archie whispered, his hand trembling against the nearest chamber. Inside, a woman with iridescent skin and forearms pressed her palms against the crystal. Her eyes, 3 of them, pleaded silently. For 3 days, Archie worked without sleep. The vault's systems were impossibly complex, written in a mathematical language that hurt to comprehend. But Archie had always been good with puzzles, and desperation made him brilliant. He cannibalized his ship's power core, rerouted energy through the vault's ancient conduits, and finally found the master control. One command. That's all it took. The crystal chambers shattered simultaneously, releasing a sound like a trillion wind chimes. Thousands of women gasped their first breaths in millennia. Some collapsed, others floated in zero gravity, relearning how to move their bodies. The air filled with cries in 100 alien languages: relief, joy, confusion, rage. Archie stood at the center of it all, exhausted and overwhelmed. He'd expected gratitude, maybe. He hadn't expected what came next. The woman from the first chamber approached him. Her name, he would later learn, was Nancy, though it sounded nothing like that in her native tongue. More like a harmonious chord played on instruments that didn't exist. She was of the Velistri, a race known throughout the galaxy for their fierce honor codes and warrior traditions. Nancy studied Archie for a long moment, her 3 eyes scanning him with an intensity that made him want to step back. Then she knelt. Behind her, thousands of others did the same. "We are the forgotten," Nancy said in perfect galactic standard, her voice resonating with harmonics that made Archie's chest vibrate. "For 10,000 cycles, we have been aware but powerless. We have watched stars die. We have counted every heartbeat. We have existed in a single eternal moment of despair." She stood, and the others rose with her. "You, Archie Chen of Earth, have given us back time itself. By the laws of my people, by the codes of honor that bind the forgotten, we owe you a debt that can never be repaid." "I don't need," Archie started, "but we will try," Nancy interrupted, and there was something fierce in her smile. The forgotten had lost everything: their homes, their families, entire civilizations that had risen and fallen while they stood frozen. But they hadn't lost their knowledge, their skills, or their determination. And now they had a purpose: to thank the human who had freed them. It started small. The Velistri were master shipbuilders, and they rebuilt the Wanderer into something that would have made the architects themselves envious. The Krashtari, insectoid engineers, upgraded his mining equipment until it could extract precious metals from the hearts of dead stars. The Lumini, beings of living light, taught him to navigate by quantum entanglement, seeing paths through space that no human had ever imagined. But it didn't stop there. Word spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Archie Chen, the human who had freed the forgotten. Within months, he found himself at the center of a movement. The forgotten became his crew, his guards, his advisors. They didn't just want to thank him, they wanted to ensure he was protected, honored, celebrated. Nancy became his first officer and closest friend. She stood beside him as they negotiated with the Galactic Council, as they established sanctuaries for the displaced, as they hunted down other ancient prisons and freed thousands more. "You know this is crazy, right?" Archie said one evening, standing on the bridge of what was now a fleet of ships. Through the viewport, he could see dozens of vessels, all crewed by the Forgotten, all following his lead. Nancy's laugh was like music. We spent 10,000 years with nothing but our thoughts, Archie. We had time to plan, time to dream, time to imagine what we would do if we ever got free. She turned to him, her 3 eyes gleaming. You didn't just free our bodies. You gave us back our futures. What did you expect we would do with them? I expected you'd go home. Find your families. Our families are dust, Nancy said softly. Our worlds are changed beyond recognition. But you. She placed one of her hands on his shoulder. You're here. You're real. And you proved something we'd almost forgotten after all those years frozen in time. What's that? That one person, making one choice, can change the universe. She smiled. So yes, we will thank you. Every day. In every way we can. Not because you want it, but because we need to. Because remembering that kindness exists, that compassion is possible, that someone cared enough to try, that's what makes us more than just survivors. That makes us alive again. Archie looked out at the fleet, at the thousands of lives now intertwined with his own, and felt the weight of it settle on his shoulders. It wasn't the burden he'd feared. It was something else entirely. It was purpose. All right, he said finally, a smile tugging at his lips. So where are we going next? Nancy pulled up a star chart showing 17 more vaults scattered across the galaxy. The Forgotten remember everything, Archie, including where the architects hid their other prisons. We have work to do. As the fleet jumped to hyperspace, Archie realized that he hadn't just freed the Forgotten. In a way, they had freed him too, from a life of lonely mining runs and purposeless existence. Together, they would ensure that no one else would ever be forgotten again. And that, he thought, was the best thank you of all.